Now, people with learning disabilities experienced unacceptable healthcare inequalities and discrimination during the COVID-19 pandemic in England, according to a new report by the charity MENCAP. As the vaccine is being rolled out across the UK from tomorrow, the charity is calling for people with learning disabilities to be prioritised, as death rates among the group because of the virus are up to 6 times the rate of that among the general population. Joining me now is Annie McDowell, Chief Executive of the charity Share Community, which provides training and employment support in areas like independent living, digital skills, horticulture and catering to disabled people across South London. And also joining us is Fatima. She's a member of Share who has a learning difficulty. Welcome, both of you. Thank you very much for joining us. Annie, that's a really shocking statistic, actually, that those with learning difficulties have died at such a higher rate than others within the community. Just tell us more about your perspective of the impact of COVID on those you particularly care for.
Hi, Joanna.
Hi.
Well, I think everybody's found COVID incredibly challenging, and we've all had to adapt. But I think for people with learning disabilities, the information has often not been very understandable. I mean, most of us have found information confusing. So if you've got a learning disability, it's doubly so. A lot of the families that we work for are quite low income, so there was a lot of pressure on the families, particularly if work was interrupted. And we had to make a huge number of adaptations in order to try to keep people safe and well. In Wandsworth, where we're based, we worked very quickly with the local authority and with other voluntary organisations to put a safety net in place for people with learning disabilities and their families. And we think that this has had a huge protective effect. And although every death is a tragedy, so far as we know, only 3 adults with learning disabilities in Wandsworth have died in this pandemic to date. And I think some of that very close coordinated partnership working has really helped there.
Fatima, thank you for joining us. How has life...
Joanna.
Hi
nice
there.
To meet you.
And you too.
Hi.
How has life been for you through this very difficult time?
What things does we can't high five, unfortunately, not sit together, and that makes me feel very sad. We have to social distance and sit apart, which makes us feel very left out. Well, makes me feel very left out. We can't go on trips and socialise. I can't go to the parks with my family, to restaurants, to cinemas, because they were obviously, because of COVID-19, they were closed. The lockdown made me feel very helpless and stressed. I was not sure what I have to do. I had no idea what I need to do. Did some YouTube videos, which were very helpful indeed. I felt very appreciated. It was part of my family's idea. They pushed me to YouTube videos and be able to build confidence in myself, to speak up and talk about the lockdown, the first lockdown, and how to maintain a healthy diet.
There's a lot, there's a lot, it sounds like, to navigate for you, Fatima, and it sounds like your family have been great. How are you feeling now? Because you've achieved a lot through this, so you should pat yourself on the back for that as well, no doubt. Good.
Thank you.
Good.
It's all because of my family's support, and one of the staffs at Share, Karen, she also supported me through my family, and she also supported me.
Annie,
And Annie.
Yeah, Annie. I mean, it's absolutely really lovely to be able to talk to you and Fatima this morning, and to obviously understand what people like Fatima have been dealing with and the amount of help you've been able to provide. Going forward now, I know that you want people with learning disabilities to be given priority on vaccines because they are vulnerable. What is the current situation regarding vaccination for people with learning disabilities?
I don't think they're being afforded any special treatment or any special category. We know that people with Down syndrome have been designated as being extremely clinically vulnerable. So hopefully they will be closer to the top of the list to get the vaccines. But there's been nothing decisive come out of government yet. So we really want government to make a commitment. We absolutely support MenCap's call on this. To prioritise people with learning disabilities. They are vulnerable in so many different ways, and particularly people from BME backgrounds. And we know that in the general population, people from BME communities are suffering disproportionately from COVID. So, and the mortality rates are much higher. So the same goes for people with learning disabilities, but you can imagine the even greater impact there. So we think this is a matter of urgency, and we really urge the government to take action and protect people like Fatima and her colleagues.
It's been a real pleasure to talk to you both. Annie and Fatima, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Wishing you all the best. Thank you.